Hello, everyone,
Hello.
and
Hello.
happy Hacktoberfest. How are you, Jamie?
Pretty good.
That's good. Alesh, this is our second time in one day.
The same as earlier.
Yeah, that's right. We had a wonderful session of Ask Alesh. We only had 2 questions, so I thought, well, we've done this in 15 minutes, but of course we stretched it out to a full hour, so that's good. Yeah, it's been a busy day for me. I just finished playing for a mass, so I just rushed in here. If it's more echoey than normal, it's because I'm in that church office, and there's a window on the door. So if someone recognizes me and pops in, I didn't put up a sign recording in progress or anything.
We'll say hi.
So we'll see. Or if the priest wasn't happy at what I played at mass, then we'll see. I will mute myself though, if that happens. But anyways, yeah, it's the wonderful month of October, and we've got lots of plans. And I think I'm going to turn it over to Jamie, so she can talk us through what Hacktoberfest is and some of the different things you can do to participate. And
yeah. So I thought I might kind of just do an overview of what Hacktoberfest is and the different things that people can work on. Hopefully when I switch my screen, it will still work. Okay, so this is the Hacktoberfest help page where you can get most of the information about Hacktoberfest. So what Hacktoberfest is it starts October 1st and it goes through the 31st. And during this time, independent developers like Greg and Ian Bacall, and I guess Alesh and I sort of count, even though we're on the team. But we started out as independent developers. We get together and work on apps to make WikiTree better. So one of the apps that we work on is the tree apps, which you can go to if you go to your name menu at the top and go down to tree apps, and there's stuff like Greg's fan chart, or there's the I think it's the CC7 report, or there's just a whole bunch of stuff there. And then the other main one that we work on is the WikiTree browser extension, which I'm sure a lot of you use. So those are the 2 things that we usually focus on during Hacktoberfest. But this year, Rob Pavey, who does WikiTree Sourcer, has also opened up his that to for people to contribute on. And there's been over 50 different sites that people have wanted added to it. So there's a lot of work for anyone that has some programming skill to contribute to. So yeah, so that I'm not doing well explaining this, but
you're doing fine, Jamie. Yeah.
That's kind of what we focus on during Hacktoberfest. So it's all month long. The people that have some programming skills can work on these apps for WikiTreeers to use. So originally, Hacktoberfest was not a WikiTree idea. A company called DigitalOcean started it, I think, over a decade ago. And it basically just encourages people to work on open source projects. So open source means that anyone can see the code, they can work on the code, they can make changes to it. So since WikiTree, so Hacktoberfest for WikiTree started about 4 years ago, based on this Hacktoberfest, or the DigitalOcean's Hacktoberfest, because we were kind of trying to get people to work on apps together, because previous to that, everyone kind of had their own little apps, and I don't think anyone was really working on any apps together. There were 4 or 5 different browser extensions. And so we did have one open source project at that time, which was the dynamic tree. And so I was like, maybe we should join Hacktoberfest and see if anyone wants to improve the dynamic tree. And then also maybe we can work on combining some of the browser extensions together, just so there's not so many. And so we did that, and it was great. Like, people worked together. We added a bunch of apps to the dynamic tree, and that became tree apps. And then Ian and Alesh and I think Steve Harris combined their browser extensions into what is now the WikiTree browser extension. And then the previous 2 years, we also worked on improving those. So,
and yeah. I'll just say, yeah. So I just like to jump in because no, that's okay. You're doing a great job. You are. I'm a little scattered this morning, so I'm glad you're sort of taking the lead with going through the history and how to participate and whatnot. But that really was a big change, going from everyone working in their own little silo. So I had my little silo of apps on my own little test server, whatever directory of the test server. But I never really felt like I was working with others. I always felt like I was doing stuff in solo. I mean, people were appreciating the apps. I did have Tommy Buck was the one person who sort of helped me out with picking color schemes, because I'm really bad at that. But since we've gone to the Hacktoberfest, I've gotten to know a lot of the other programmers, and we've been able to help each other out. And that whole spirit of collaboration is truly the spirit of WikiTree. So it was a great innovation. So I think we have you to thank for knowing about the original Hacktoberfest and bringing the idea forward so that we could do it on WikiTree. So thank you, Jamie, for spearheading that, taking that leap.
Yeah, and I mean, it is great working with other programmers, because no one knows everything. So it's great, doing something that you know how to do, and then someone else does something that they know how to do, or makes it better, or improves your code, or has a better idea. I think it was last year, maybe 2 years ago, I used to have an app that was pretty simple that gave you some statistics on your ancestors. And so I added that to the shared tree apps code. And then someone else took it and it made it way better than I could have. And then I also had my missing links app, which had not been updated forever, just because I didn't have time to update it. And the CC7 app kind of did the same thing. So I just kind of stuck it in there. And so yeah, it's great. It's really great, just being able to work with other people and
yeah.
Hi guys. Sorry,
hey, Rob.
I'm a bit late. Hi. Just got back from my exercise at the pool.
Excellent. Congrats.
Well, since Rob is here, maybe later he can show us how to contribute to Sorcerer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think a lot of the people that registered this year are interested in working on that. So, I'll go through a bit more about.
Yeah. Now, one of the other questions that has popped up, and I know you're going to talk about it. Okay, so Mary has commented here about Chris's G2G post about working together on a browser extension. Anne had a question about how she can contribute. What kind of testers are we looking for? And other people are saying that they don't have any programming skills. So what are their contributions? So we do need testers. And we need testers on all sorts of browsers and all sorts of platforms, certainly. And we'll also, another thing that we would like, if people have the skills and interest in, is to add some documentation to some of the apps that are existing. So for example, Murray has worked really closely with me to putting together an amazing free space page for documentation for the fan chart app. which is
Also, WikiTree browser extension.
and the WikiTree browser extension. Yeah. No, I was like, he's helped me out lots, and he's helped out the WikiTree browser like lots. But we need it would be advantageous to have documentation for all of the tree apps so that people can, because we've added all these little bits and pieces to each of them, and nice to have that documented. So if other people are interested in helping out with that, that would be great. So.
Yeah, let me go over to the post I made yesterday.
And Murray agrees with you.
Yeah, we need more tech writers.
Yes, definitely. Well, I'll get to it in a little bit.
Okay.
So here's the post I made yesterday, which kind of says like what people can do to participate this year, or kind of what we're focusing on. So one, I already mentioned that Rob has over 50 different sites that are needed, or people have wanted to be added to Sourcer. So that there's lots to choose from there. The other thing is that we have a page on WikiTree called anniversaries or family anniversaries, but it's kind of the same as the family calendar tree app. And so one of the goals is to replace the old family anniversaries page with the tree app, just so it can be improved. So so that's one project that we can work on this month if anyone's interested. The other thing, which Alesh might be able to talk a bit about, is that, and also one of the reasons, or one of the things I was going to mention about documentation is we're adding a new feature to the API, which is get connections. So you can be like, hey, give me the connection path between Jamie and Greg, and it will give me how many degrees are between, and then each person in the path with their relationship and stuff. And you could also request like data about them. So that can maybe be used to add new features or something cool. I don't know if Alesh wants to talk a bit about that since he helped program that.
Now.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it's very similar to the two pages that retrieve relations on WikiTree. One is get connections and one is get relatives. I think that finds a common ancestor and the different paths to them. Those two algorithms are actually now available to the API. So first thing that can use this API call is the distance from a profile for the browsing user in Visual Browser extension. That one should be replaced, because until now it was using the WikiTree page that actually produced the HTML file, and data was collected from there. But now that will be available in the API. And also I adjusted the connection finder so that it's the data is retrieved in a single call. So you because now Jan was making two calls to the to get a common relative and the shortest path between two users. So now both searches will be done with connection finder in a single call. So I think we even added the possibility to just get the distance without any privacy checks done. So it's much easier on the server. So he will be able just to write the distance between the two profiles. And if someone will be interested in more data, then more data can be retrieved and displayed. So because those requests were really heavy on this connection finder. I mean, we were getting thousands of requests per day, so we had to optimize those as much as possible. For others, we will see how many, what the time will be. So it is essential with new GET connections that all applications identify themselves. So we will know in case of bottlenecks which one to block or find a different solution with the author. So, but otherwise, everything that could be found with through the regular pages is also available in API. I don't know if the documentation is finished, but well, we will help if someone needs guidance.
Yeah, so I the reason it's not live yet is because I have been working on the documentation for that, and writing documentation can be hard, especially
Not a fun job.
that has like a lot of different features, like trying to lay it out so it makes sense. So yeah, I have to finish the documentation for it, and then also make sure that it's like there's no privacy issues, which also takes a while.
Right.
But it should be ready, I think, next Tuesday when we do our weekly site update. So next Tuesday, developers can start playing with it. I think I already gave Greg some access to it on the test server.
Yes.
So he could give some feedback. But yeah, so other developers that have registered can play with that starting next week. So yeah, that's another way. We already talked about making some documentation for tree apps. So yeah, if you want to do that, it would be very appreciated. and I think Steve Harris is helping with the documentation for the actual API. I believe that's what he said he was going to do this time. So that's also important, because sometimes stuff is not as clear as it could be, especially if you're familiar with it. Well, so last week I was actually going through the tutorial for the WikiTree browser extension with Elaine, and I cannot remember her last name because I'm bad with names, but it was interesting going through it with her where she was getting stuck, because something that was like totally obvious to me, because I've done it a million times, it's like, oh yeah, we didn't actually specify that you need to be in this folder when you run this command. And so yeah, if anyone wants to go through the tutorials, if you're not, yes, Elaine Martson. If anyone wants to go through the tutorials and wants to give feedback on those, that's another way you can help. If you have a little bit of programming experience, I think if you have no programming experience, it might be a bit difficult. But yeah, so there are ways to help out. And Lisa asked, who would I talk to about writing guides? Me, or if you, well, because I'm thinking, I'm like, does it say who wrote the app?
Yeah, some of them do.
I know WikiTree browser extension does, but I'm not sure if it does on tree apps.
Mine has, all of my apps have an about.
Okay. So if the app does say who the main developer is, you can talk to them, or you can ask me and I can direct you to the right person.
Yeah.
We do know who writes what.
That's right. That's right.
And yeah, the last thing that you can focus on this Hacktoberfest is testing, which anyone can do. If you are in contact with an app developer directly, you could probably just ask them what they need to be tested. Otherwise, I'm going to recommend that if people have something that they want people to test, they either make a new post in G2G, Or they could even post a comment in the weekly Hacktoberfest chat if they don't want to make their own.
Right.
Or
the Discord channel.
And yes, Discord is also a great place to post if you find a bug in an app that someone's working on, or for developers to post for feedback. I just know not everybody uses Discord, so we don't want to like totally shut out people that don't.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be good to post on Genealogy too.
Right. Yeah. Tommy asked where the app guides would be being put. So for the ones that I've done, I've made free space pages, and there's a direct link inside the app, a help button or an information button that takes you to that free space page. But the other alternative is a number of apps, as Murray suggested, have built-in help guides. Like the CC7 Views has one of those, and which other ones? A lot of the dynamic trees, the dynamic ancestors, dynamic descendants app. There's a sort of a pop-up splash page or whatever that shows all the different options that happen in the different connectors and sort of those guides. So there's sort of two approaches to it. I guess it depends on the developer which is the easiest.
I think there's some guidance also on the tutorial or the help pages on GitHub. I haven't done a tools app, but I did go through the pages that are out there, and I think it has something that says, here's where to put your help. So I don't know if that's something else somebody could look at if you want to write help or see what's there and how it can be found and try and get it all integrated so it's all kind of the same for everybody. Because our end users aren't going to realize that there's a whole bunch of people contributing and collaborating on software just like we do on profiles.
I just remembered, maybe if someone is good with YouTube, we could also make video tutorials for some options or applications.
Sure.
I know Karen Hoy is doing it for data doctors again, so each suggestions will eventually have a video, but maybe also for the applications it would be interesting.
I think Sandy actually volunteered to do some help videos if we need it.
Oh, nice.
So yeah.
I'm sure we could figure out a way to integrate it into the visual browser extension, WikiTree browser extension, to make it easy to watch a video on a certain function. So.
Okay.
Trying to think of what else. So if you want to register for Hacktoberfest, I'm going to go back to the help page. If you go to the help page, there's a big thing here. You just click on it. It will take you to the post with some more information. And you just write an answer, and then I'll add you to the group. And then every Monday, I plan on emailing people and also making another weekly post just to keep people updated. Yeah, I'm not sure what else I should say about this. So,
no, I think that's great. Let's see. Murray just said the video demos are another reasons why we do the Monday Tech Talks at the end of every month, so we can sort of demo things live, with the video and screen sharing and stuff. But I like your idea too, though, that we could do some little snippets, like small little YouTubes that show different aspects of or commonly asked questions and stuff like that for some of the apps.
and then there's Patty's question.
Yeah, always struggle to find where to find all the available apps.
Okay,
well, that's easier now though than it used to be.
So under Find, I don't know. Can you see the drop-down menu?
Yep, we can.
Yep.
There's this apps thing, and so one that will give you a list of all the independent apps.
Mm-hmm.
It also has a section for browser extensions. So you could, here's Sorcerer, WikiTree browser extension, and then also B. So like if you click on that, it goes to the Great Help page, which tells you how to install it.
Mm-hmm.
Sorcerer, I think it also goes to a help page, which is good. And then it also has tree apps up at the top, where if you click on it, it will take you to the help page. But to actually see your own tree apps, if you go to the drop-down menu, there's the tree apps menu here.
Right.
I don't want to click on it because I think it's my name and I don't necessarily want to show all my information. So
you don't remember which
yeah,
last one
that's the way. And then
was.
also on profile pages. So let me just go to
You can go to mine.
well, I'll go to a deceased person.
There we go.
There's also this little icon over on the right where you can click on it. Oh, no, don't want to go to mine. And it will take you usually to a tree app for that person.
Right.
The reason that the one that I had open was not going to go to him was because it was one that was based on a watch list thing. So that's
right.
Watch list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Were there any other questions?
Maybe we should add some hierarchy to the tree apps, because now the drop-down list is quite long. So
yes, I do know
that could be one of the tasks for Hacktoberfest, to group them in something more.
That could be a task for
bit.
someone that isn't even a developer. Like someone could help figure out what the hierarchy should be. I do know Chris has been asking for me to do that for a while, but it's like I don't know the best way to sort these.
I think Brian will have to implement it, but it would be good to have a structure ready for him.
Right.
Maybe if someone looks into all the documentation, then it would fall out of that of looking at how do I describe all of these, what's in common, how do I gather them.
Do we have stats that can answer Tommy's question?
We have stats for API calls and connection finder calls done from various applications. They are on plus.wikitree.com -logs.
Isn't that just like the number of calls though? So like if an app is not that great.
It's the number of calls, but if you know the app, you can see, then you can assume how much it is, how many calls it actually makes.
Some apps are needier than others. They can get through with one call, and others multiple times.
Yes, but if the author can estimate the number of users using his application.
That's true too.
I think I actually write out also the number of unique IPs that requested, that used the application. So I think daily users would be available.
Right.
I can actually check.
And how do you access that, Alice?
Okay, let me. It's on HTML page. You just navigate to it. I will show you. Just screen share, whole screen. Okay, so it's pluswikitree.com. The logs. So here are logs from WikiTree. So this one is of interest, connection finder API. Here are logs for let's go to the end. These are logs that are done from API server to connection finder. So when you request ancestors or path profiles, because even if web page is requested by API is requested by a application, and application identifies itself, then we can see those numbers here. So I don't know, Visual Browser extension dir, daughter of American Revolution relationships was called 600 times, obviously, on that day. So here is one part of these statistics, but not all applications use API calls that come to the connection finder. So here this one is for WikiTree Plus. WikiTree Plus also supports some calls for tracker. For instance, I mean, we can see here a few applications use WikiTree Plus for searches and so on. So you can see here the numbers. We have number, and here just the amount of data transferred. Okay. And the third one that would be of most interest to all application is in this folder. So here are two reports by API or by application. So let's go to the end of the list to get the recent numbers. So by API, this is grouped by API call. So for instance, get ancestors. And the other one is the group. In the other one, the grouping is done by the application. So if application identifies itself to the API, you have here full statistics. So for instance, biocheck was used on this day. So here is number of requests and number of unique IPs. So we can see that it was called 250 times from 16 IPs. So 16 users were using it that day. So quite heavily, actually. Each one made over 10 requests. You also here get some additional info of the call of what users used. So for developers, this can be very interesting. And here, this first section is from the applications that don't identify themselves. So
renegades.
We just don't know who those are. Maybe this should be another thing done in Hacktoberfest to make sure that all application identifies themselves, because we had a plan to actually make it obligatory at some point.
Possibly.
That would be a good starter item for a beginner programmer, just to add that to the API calls, I think.
Is that on every I'm not sure how you do that, so maybe Sorcerer
you
is
just
one of the guilty parties.
You just add to the request app ID equals and whatever name you want. But it should be something logical so we can identify you.
Those can be identified by going through and running each of the apps and watching the network feed to find the ones that don't include their ID on the request.
So these are the logs. If you would, the developers might find useful.
Yeah, very neat.
So Patty had a question. So why are some things tree apps and others are just apps? So I think in the beginning I talked about how before we started Hacktoberfest, all the developers had their apps separate. So what you would do is you could join the apps project. You would get a space on the app server. And in this space, you could upload your own app, and then people would go to an app, which would be a URL, something like apps.wikitree.com/Clark 1107.
Yeah, you got it. 11007.
Fan chart.
Yeah.
And so then they could see Greg's fan chart. But only Greg could work on that code, unless if he like let someone else use that and then uploaded it to his space on the app server. So those were just standalone apps. When we decided to start working on apps together, we created the shared code, which ended up being the tree app. So the shared code is on GitHub, and so that's what I'm showing on the screen right now. And so I'm gonna go to the views. So it's kind of like a wrapper around all the apps that people can work on together. So you can see like there's the Ancestors Line app, or the CC7 app, or family group app. So any of the apps that are in this shared code are what ends up in tree apps. And then any apps that are on developers' individual spaces on the app server are just regular standalone apps. So, and I do need to rename our GitHub code, because
Dynamic tree.
Yeah, it's just dynamic tree. Well, I didn't even realize until I was talking with Kay about documentation that like the documentation down at the bottom was still just like, this is code for an app that shows you your pedigree chart. Like it didn't have anything else that mentioned tree apps at all. So, but yeah, so the shared code is what is tree apps, and then anything else is just a standalone app.
And the one thing about the like taking it from the standalone and putting it in the tree apps, there is some translation you have to do, but depending on how complex your app is. For most of the ones I've done, there's been some massaging that is necessary to get it to work from standalone. The advantage of doing it standalone, and the reason why a number of the ones I've done started that way, is because you have that complete freedom, and you're not messing up anyone else's stuff. But lately, if I've been starting a fresh one, I usually start on the tree apps, except for the one I'm working with Mags right now for this Hacktoberfest. Actually is still standalone, and it's so massive. For those who were part of the Tech Talk on Monday night, I gave a sneak preview, a teaser of it, and you can see it takes up as much screen space as you've got. And I'm leery about moving to tree apps because that header is kind of in the way, and I'd like to make sure that I get maximum screen space for the app. So that one I haven't decided yet how that's going to end up in the end. So.
And another reason that standalone apps like BioCheck might not be moved into the dynamic tree, because it's not a tree picture, that's like stopped it at the beginning, is that the developer has to take the time and effort to do it. The volunteer developer needs to set aside some time to do that, and sometimes it just hasn't been there yet. It's like Greg said, how do I fit this in here? Is this a square peg I'm putting in a round hole?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that kind of answers Tommy's question.
Yeah.
So
collaborative apps and standalone apps.
Well, that's Patty's question. But Tommy asked, let me show his. Do apps need to be moved to GitHub? No. So, I mean, ideally, we would have as many apps in the shared code as possible. But as Kay said, sometimes like there isn't, the developer has to do work to get it in there. And sometimes the way that the standalone app has been programmed is like, it's hard to fit it in.
Yeah.
And then also some apps just may not make sense because they're very large. like Greg's DNA app.
Mhm.
So I mean, and there is a section in the tree apps that I think like in the drop down that says like other apps. And so that
Yes.
links to a page that will link to some of those standalone apps.
Mhm.
And so, so yeah, it doesn't have to be in tree apps. It's just good. One good thing about shared code is that in the past, sometimes when a developer has made a standalone app, sometimes they don't have time to maintain it anymore. And then it's just that way forever.
Yes.
And so no bug fixes. If something changes with the site, it may break. And so the good thing with the shared code too is that if someone does not have time to work on it anymore, or just has no interest anymore, someone else can pick it up and work on it.
Yeah. And for that reason, I'm thinking like even my DNA confirmation app, for example, is still a standalone app, and this new DNA one I'm working on is also standalone currently, at least. And I am thinking that it would be good to make post a GitHub repository for them, just for that, so that people could collaborate with me and as sort of insurance in the long run.
So Patty asked, wouldn't names like collaborative apps and standalone apps be more logical names? Yes. But yeah, I don't remember why we chose tree apps for the name. I think it was just,
well, the majority at the beginning were all just different ways of looking at your tree.
Yeah.
We started with dynamic tree, I think. So that was initial idea.
Then we've added more charty type or data structure-y sort of things as well.
Yeah, it might make sense to like add that word or explain it better on the help page, like for tree apps to specify that it is multiple people working on the code, and then the other apps are just one person.
But actually the end user doesn't need to know the difference.
They may not care.
Yeah. Another question from Patty.
Okay.
Can Hacktoberfest volunteers work on standalone apps or just on the collaborative apps? Yes. So yeah, you can work on a standalone app if you're participating in Hacktoberfest. You can also working on the shared code or standalone code does not have to just be in October.
That's true.
It's good all year round. It's just in October we're trying to focus our efforts on working on stuff this month, because like a lot of times, we get busy and don't have time. So it's kind of like in October, let's work on stuff. Let's make some stuff. Let's show off what we can do. And then the rest of the year is kind of chill. So yes, you can work on a standalone app during Hacktober.
I'll definitely need some beta testers for the DNA app that I'm working on with Megs. So, and that's currently a standalone, and probably for this month will be a standalone. Maybe for the foreseeable future, it's standalone at this point.
Okay. Is there anything else people want to talk about
before we turn over to Rob?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I might just highlight some of the posts to recognize some of the names that Murray has identified as people who have helped with the whole vision of, so the WikiTree browser extension in particular, a lot of hands went onto that, and brains went onto that. And so thank you, Murray, for identifying and recognizing all these people for us, because that was it's been a lot of work. You forget how much, and then so there's borrowed code, there's original code, there's borrowed code, stuff from the B extension, testers and ideas. Yeah, Sandy Paddock is a great cheerleader for all of our apps and extensions. Yeah, and he says need more tech writers. And I'm sure, well, maybe I shouldn't say I'm sure, but if people are volunteering to help be a an app documentator. I'm sure Murray might have a few helpful hints for you if you want to reach out. I'm hoping I'm not putting words in your mouth, Murray.
So Rich asked if GitHub is the best place to store your new project. It depends. So if you're just working on a standalone app, you don't have to have it in GitHub at all.
Mm-hmm.
If you are working on the shared code, it won't work if it's not on GitHub. Like it won't make it to Tree Apps. So there is, for both Tree Apps, aka the dynamic tree, and the WikiTree browser extension, if you want to add code to the shared code, this is there is a tutorial for each that will walk you through setting up a very, very simple tree app or a very, very simple WikiTree browser extension feature. So yeah, if you want to add to the shared code, follow the tutorial, and then it should kind of give you an idea. And it does have, like, your code does have to be in GitHub for it to actually make it to the shared code. If it's just a standalone app, you don't have to put it on GitHub. Although it's good sometimes, because if you disappear, then someone else can pick up where you left off. Yeah. So I think we might want to
turn it over to Rob.
Yeah, turn it over to Rob to talk a bit about Sourcer and how to contribute to that, maybe.
Yeah, sure. Let me share my screen. Share screen.
You have fun at the dentist, Murray. That doesn't sound like fun to me, but
okay, it's like Google Chrome is asking me lots of questions about whether I can share my screen. And
we'll let you if they'll let you.
It's just stuck in a loop where it's saying open system settings, open system settings.
Oh.
Okay.
Is it going to force you to shut down and reopen the browser?
Maybe. I can't get this screen to go away. Okay, maybe I can't share my screen. I want to share a screen. I have to allow screen recording in system settings. Dang. Okay, maybe I can't share my screen.
Do you want me to show something on mine?
Yeah, that might be easiest. This StreamYard thing's not working for me. Okay, yeah, if you share the contributing to WikiTree Sourcer page, that will work.
Yeah, let me. Oops.
Steve, you're probably right, Steve. None of the tree apps want to lose any screen space. We're all a little jealous of that.
That could be another thing that someone could work on this October, is maybe cleaning up the top part of it. Maybe that will be something I work on.
Okay, so this I put this free space page together for just as a kind of landing page for people who want to contribute to WikiTree Sourcer.
Nice.
So WikiTree Sourcer is on GitHub, as we've been talking about. Hopefully everyone knows what GitHub is. And WikiTree Sourcer, its primary focus is for working with sites other than WikiTree to import information into WikiTree to create citations from other sites. So one of the easiest ways to contribute to Sourcer for Hacktoberfest is to add support for a new site. So if you scroll down a bit, so Discord's a good way to talk about things. If you have questions for me on how to do something on Saucer, it's easiest to chat on Discord. You can send me private messages through WikiTree, but that's a bit slower. And it's also confusing for me to track who's doing what because everyone has different names on everything. So like I've put this table together, like people's Discord names and GitHub names and WikiTree names to try and keep track of who is this who's trying to push something to a WikiTree source.
Oh yeah, Eugene.
So yeah, I can, if you get in touch with me, I can add you to this table just so people know who's who. And then the Hacktoberfest section is the next section. So if you click on that thing where it says there's a Hacktober, no, not that one. The last one, you can see the list of them here. So this is a list on GitHub of all the open requests for adding new sites that seem like they're fairly feasible to do. Some of them are, some of the requests that seem like I don't know how you would support those with Saucer. I didn't put these the Hacktoberfest label on, but all these ones with the Hacktoberfest label are ones that seem like they're fairly feasible. So there's I think 31 of those, and the ones that people have already said I've started work on this. I've put the in progress label on them as well. If you scroll up a bit, there's that one with the purple in progress label. Someone's working on that one. So there's also a README. So all the documentation for using Saucer is on the FreeSpace page, but all the documentation for developing for Saucer is on GitHub. So if you click on the code tab at the top, and then scroll down, you see the README page, and that has links to all the other documentation. So this is the best starting point for understanding how to contribute to Saucer. And there's actually a script I've written because Saucer's all laid out very modularly. There's a directory, there's various directories for every new site you add, and within that directory there's a core folder and a browser folder and a core folder for the code that runs in the browser versus not needing the browser. So I created a script which you just run that script and it creates all the files and folders as a starting point, and then you just fill in the code. So it just saves you some of the drudge work.
Is the script somewhere?
Yeah, if you scroll down, I think, keep going. Guides for developers. And then there's one that I can't read. Let me expand the screen. Adding support for a new site, the third one. So this tells you the steps to go through. The first important thing you do is have to pick a name for your site in the because it's going to create folders for every new site. So you have to pick a name between 10 characters or less for your site. And then I'm actually working on improving this script right now to do a bit more work, but this is the current version. You just run this script and you put in the site name and then the display name, which is explained above, which is just the name that shows up on the Saucer menu for the site. So that's really the best place to start is, well, first off, let me know if you're interested in working on it and and we'll try and get in touch via Discord. And then you'd look at your site and there's a few questions. When you first look at a site, it's like, does the site support searching with a URL query? Which most of the early ones I do support that, but a lot of sites like WikiTree itself doesn't support searching with a URL query, which makes things a little more complicated. And you have to the extension has to fill out a search form. So that's one of the first branch points in which way the code goes. And then the other one is, does the site have a separate page for every record that you want to be able to create a citation for? Some sites just show you a list of search results, and you can't click on one and go to a page that just talks about that one. So in that case, Sourcer has some extra code to allow you to select one of the search results and create a citation for it. So I'm actually enhancing the create new site script to ask you a couple of questions, and it will generate different code depending on the answers to those two questions. So that's the kind of the main way to get started with adding to Sourcer. I mean, if you're adding a new site, is a good way to start, because you can't really break anything that's already in Sourcer, because you're just adding a new piece of functionality rather than changing anything that's there. So it's a good way to get up to speed with how Sourcer works.
That's kind of true of all the shared apps. Like each feature is kind of separate mostly. So it's hard to break stuff if you want to experiment.
Right. So when you add a new site, Rob, what kind of, because it's more than just, I mean, there's at least two different ways of grabbing stuff from, I'm thinking from Family Search to WikiTree. Like you could do just one record, or you could do all of the stuff. And like, so how many combinations of things do you have to think of?
So, well, if you're adding a support for what seems like a simple site, I say that because I've added probably 30 sites, and they always have some new wrinkle to them that I didn't expect. But a fairly simple site would be some country or state's birth, deaths, and marriages records, which you'd think would be pretty simple. You think they'd all be fairly much the same, but they vary a lot. But for a simple site, not something like Ancestry or Family Search, then you're just talking about records, like a birth record, a death record, a marriage record, that you want to create citations for. So there's kind of 4 steps to adding support for the site. The first one is the extract, which is just writing the code that takes the HTML page that you're trying to cite and kind of scrapes the information off it, of like what's the name of the person, the place, and the date. And that's different for every page because of the way the HTML is laid out. Then there's a step called Generalize, which tries to put that into a common format. So that, and the reason for that is if you want to search from this site to some other site, you need to know like what name and date to search for. So you need to like take the information you scraped off the page and say, and put it into a standard format for like first name, last name, birth date, death date, event date, that kind of stuff. And then the third step is to write the code for building a citation. How do you want to, and there are tools there's common code that helps you format the citation using all the options in Sourcer. And then the fourth step is the search. How do you search this site that you're adding? Say you're on a WikiTree page or an Ancestry page, and you want to search this new My BDM site. How would you go about doing that? So there's that step too. So those are the common ones for all sites. But as Greg said, for sites like that have actual profiles on them, like Ancestry and Family Search, where there's a profile and the profile has a whole bunch of sources, there's other features like build all citations and things, but you don't typically have to worry about those if you're just adding support for a smaller site.
If someone has a recommendation for a new site, where would they suggest that?
They can either add an issue on GitHub if they're familiar with GitHub. There's if you go to the Sourcer main page, it explains this here there. So that's
figure out where the page is. Is there a link somewhere here?
Yeah. So if you scroll down, there's a section on contributing, I think. or maybe it'll just take you back.
Oh, there's this link
Sorry.
to your wish list.
Oh yeah, sorry. If you scroll down, yeah, here we go. Wish list to request a bug. It explains the different ways you can add an issue there, or if you don't feel comfortable with that, you can add a comment on this page.
Add new site requests.
Yeah, so people will
There's a lot of comments.
yeah.
Is there a specific website for Welsh newspapers?
Yeah, there is already an issue for that. I think Hillary is just promoting it. It's like if someone's looking for one to work on, she would love it if someone worked on the Welsh newspapers one, which should be a fairly simple one. And newspapers are simple in a way in that they often don't have that much information about like names and dates of birth and so on. They just have, here's a page on a newspaper or on a site. So they tend to have limited functionality, but it's nice to be able to, if you're on a WikiTree page and say, is this person mentioned in Welsh newspaper, have Sourcer put together a search for you. Mm-hmm. And then if you find an article you want to cite, Sourcer, like newspapers.com, it'll create a citation to the free article on newspapers.com. So there's a few different newspapers that have been added, like Trove, Australian newspapers. Right. So if someone wanted to add the Welsh newspapers, they could look at how it works for newspapers.com and Trove, and it would probably be one of the easiest ones to add.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking of adding Genealogy Bank since I have a subscription.
Okay.
And that's on the wish list.
I was wondering about that. Generally, I know you've been favoring the free sites, but the Sourcer can also create subscriptions for paid sites. Is that true?
Citations, yeah. Like Ancestry, obviously, is a paid one, so that's one of the main ones. But and it's harder for me to add those because if I don't have a subscription to them. So often it's great if people come along and add support for a site that they know well, either they subscribe to or just one they use all the time because they've got more idea about what's the most convenient way to search it and what's the most useful way to cite it. Often citing is because of questions about how to link, in the citation, how do you link to the record, and is it a persistent link, and is that link going to break after a while, things like that.
And developer also needs a subscription to develop it.
Yeah. And some sites are more helpful than others. Like Ancestry has free sharing links, but that's not the case for like Find My Past. I don't think has that. And it's also, when you add support for a site like that, you want to make sure you put as much information as possible in the citation, because a lot of people won't be able to look at the record themselves.
Right. Mm-hmm. And Shelley's mentioned here that the Genealogy Bank links only last a short time. So in that case, if the citation at least shows you the process to get to the record, then if the link dies, at least you know what steps to follow or what.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's one wrinkle that I mentioned. Like every site I come across has all these new wrinkles. Like I did support for Victoria birth certificates and marriages in Australia a while ago, and I thought, this looks really simple. They've got nice pages and things, and it's not much information, but there's a bunch of little wrinkles about it. Like, that's one way you can't search with a query. You have to fill out the form. But also, the first time you open a new tab on the site, it takes like, I don't know, a minute or something to open. So I added extra code, which is now available for other ones, where it'll reuse a tab that's already open. When, say, you're on WikiTree and you want to search Victoria BDM, it'll say, is there already a Victoria BDM tab open? I'll reuse that one, and then I'll fill out the search form. But then if it's not if it's open but it's not on the search page, what do you do? So it'll like try and force it onto the search page.
Wow.
But the other thing I meant to mention about that is things where you can't really include a link. In a lot of sites, including Victoria BDM, I've added extra functionality where, say, you're on a WikiTree page that has a citation for Victoria BDM. You just select the whole citation text, and Sourcer will try and parse that citation and work out, oh, this is a Victoria BDM citation, and there's a reference number in it. So then it will put together a search that will open that page for you, even though you don't have a link. So that's another level you can go to, as you go through the process of adding support for a site, figuring out if things like that would help.
Nice. Steve has a question not related to Sorcerer, but it is related to Hacktoberfest. And what is happening about family search matching?
So that one is kind of tricky. So the person that originally wrote it doesn't have a lot of time to work on WikiTree anymore. So he gave us the code.
Oh.
But the problem with the family search matching app is that you have to have access to the family search API. I don't believe that WikiTree is allowed to share that access, and family search is also not giving out access to individual developers. So we're kind of stuck on that right now. Because we do want people to be able to work on the code. It's just you can't work on it without API access. And right now we're not, from what I understand, we're not supposed to share our access.
I see.
So,
That's unfortunate.
it's a bit tricky.
Do we know anyone that we set family search that could give us an exception for the month of Hacktoberfest? Share the code with trusted developers or something.
Yeah, I mean,
we must have some friends over there, don't we?
What? We do, but they're different people than the API stuff.
Is it things that deal with the API that need fixing, or is it other things? Would it be possible to do a mock-up of, here's a mock-up of what that API would give you if you were able to get to it?
Yes,
so that you can develop with that mock-up without actually having to go into family search.
Yeah, if they wanted to have some fake data to work on,
yeah,
I think that would work. It just makes it harder.
Yeah, it's work. It's all work.
Okay. So Azure just posted a question, which would be a good thing to show actually, Jamie, if on the page that you're on, if you click on the GitHub page there. So Azure was saying she just added support for, she just added this, but it's actually a duplicate. So I can show how to show that. If you go back a page and in the line above where it says is issue state open, if you just type Washington there and hit return, you can see there's already a request for that. So this thing you can search by doing that. You can also, like, if you click on that second one, if you click on the add new site label, so if you go back, well, you can do it there. Click on a label anywhere, it shows you every issue with that label. So those are all the and if you click on a Hacktoberfest label, it'll show you all the ones with the Hacktoberfest label. But you can also type any pre-text into that thing. Though I'm not sure exactly how the search worked, because I just typed wash in and it didn't find Washington, which is weird. You have to type the whole Washington.
The whole word, yeah. I took Azure's question to well, how would you add those labels? She added the request, but how would she put those?
Okay. So if you click on that issue, that one that's already there, you can see labels on the right.
Oh. Yeah,
maybe I'm the only one who can add labels, because when I go in there, There's a little cog to the right of the labels, and I can click on the cog and it lets me do it. But I guess other people can't. I can look into that and see if there's a way to give other people permission to add labels.
Yeah, I don't think we can.
There is a description. There's a description, right? So you could also put the labels that you want in the description.
Yeah, though that wouldn't have all the functionality of being able to click on.
No, but I mean, if someone's adding it and then they say, "I want these labels," then when you go into the labels, you would at least know what they wanted.
Yeah, it's pretty easy for me to add the labels.
But you probably can figure it out.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
I did.
Okay, so she says thanks.
Yeah, I didn't realize no one else could add the labels. Okay, there's a question from Steve. Mock data support or special API privileges. So I'm not sure exactly what this means. Is this like an account on the site you're trying to add support for? It also does have a way you can run most of the code without being in a browser. So I've done this before where someone asked me to add support for a site, or they reported a problem with the site, like MyHeritage. I guess I used to have a subscription to MyHeritage, and I added support for MyHeritage, but I don't have a subscription anymore. So someone reported a problem, and I asked them to just save the HTML page, and then the development environment I have for Saucer allows me to just run Saucer and read a file off disk, and so I was able to fix the issue that way. So that's maybe what Steve's talking about.
But generally, if you're working on adding support for a new site, you're going to have, and if it's a subscription, then you're going to have, as a developer, you'd have to have a subscription to that site.
Pretty much. I mean, you could ask someone who does have the permissions to save a bunch of files for you, but it would certainly be easier if you had.
Yeah, that sounds pretty clunky.
Yeah.
Good.
So, yeah, I don't know if anyone has any other questions, but otherwise I'm done with talking about Saucer.
Excellent. Kate, do you have any special things you're working on or anything you want to add to let people know before we end up?
Oh, I'm just trying to dig out from under everything. I'm going away for a week. I have a ton of doctor's appointments. So I've got I got one request on BioCheck on the login page. And I just had some great ideas for next year so that we can take that piece of code that's in BioCheck, that's in the app, that's in the tree apps, that's in the browser extension, and package it in a library and wrap it up so that the engine that says, is this a good source, is extendable. So you can add more source checking to it.
I like that.
Right now it's got a bunch of things that are built in. Like if it just says census or 1881 census, or it's got a whole string of those census together, it'll say, no, you got to tell me how to find it. But there's all sorts of other things. There's one we can't do, and that is some people like to use their own name as the source. But if BioCheck was going to do that, every time it wanted to look at that as a possible source, it'd have to go get the profile manager for the profile it was looking at. So it'd take an extra round trip API request. So it's like, no, that'll bring too many things to its knees. So no, I'm treading water. I'm trying to stay out of the bay.
Yeah, that's good. Well, it looks like you're on the beachhead at least. So
yeah, that's the Chesapeake Bay a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's right. Good stuff. I don't have anything more to add myself. Jamie, any last thoughts?
Nope. just if you have any questions, just find one of the Hacktoberfest posts or join us on Discord at the Hacktoberfest channel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sounds good. Excellent. Yeah, I think the Discord channel for many of us is the best place to hang out because you get immediate or close to immediate response. There's usually some people handing out there. Certainly when I'm ready to start beta testing this new DNA app that I'm working on with Megs, that will be where one of the places I'll be asking for people to help out. And also if you're interested in writing documentation for any of the tree apps, any of mine that don't have it, or any of the other ones, then that would be a great place to also say hi and whatnot. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Those who are watching live and those who are going to be watching on demand, and we'll see you all programming around the tree. And if in between programming, we'll see some of you tomorrow because the beginning of the source-a-thon, so you can do lots of sourcing as well. Then switch to programming, or testing, or documenting, or whatever. Anyway, have a great weekend, everyone. See ya. Thanks everyone who joined me.
Bye.
Thanks, Lesh. Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Kay and Jamie. See ya.
Bye.